And I found out that when you're making Johnny 5, there are actually a lot of parts you can 3D print. Big structural pieces need to be machined from steel or aluminum, but there are a lot of pieces that are 3D printable. However, they do need to be done with ABS versus PLA. The previous things I've done were with this nice gray PLA filament. It comes out really nice. The printers really like it. It's very forgiving. I printed that full-size track link out of PLA just to see what it would look like, see how big it was, see how the pad would screw on to the link itself. But I realized that there are parts that need to be in a tougher material, so then I tried ABS, which is a much more high temperature material. It won't warp when it gets really hot, like out in the summer heat in Texas. So I got some ABS and I tried these pads because these can be printed from ABS, from black ABS, for the robot. Half of his pads need to be in something kind of slick and smooth, and then the other half need to be in kind of a copolymer rubber, and I'm going to try TPU for that. Somebody else I know has tried that with success. Anyway, so this was my first ABS print, and it kind of lifted on the corners, which is common for ABS to do. And I did build a cool homemade enclosure for my printer to keep temperature stability. And I noticed on this first attempt I had this going on, and I realized my little cardboard enclosure was a little drafty, so I sealed some things up. And then my second attempt at a trackpad was a lot better. It still got a little bit right here, but overall this came out pretty nice. It bent slightly, but the PLA one also did that, and the little screws held that on pretty well. So I was feeling pretty good about myself, and I even printed a couple of benchies out of ABS in the process, and was feeling pretty good about myself. And then I started trying to print this guy here, and this is the big plate that goes, it's a casing part that goes underneath the head, kind of between the casing parts for the eyes and the back parts. It kind of goes right in the middle, and then there's a big metal plate that goes under this, and then the lip lights kind of secure underneath that, and then there's the gimbal plate. So there's a lot of layers to the bottom of number 5's head. So I decided to try to print this, and I had like tons of fails, and figured out that what they say about glue sticks is 100% true. I used a glue stick on the bed, and this printed pretty good. It's still, especially in the front here, you're still going to see some warping at the bottom there. I don't know if this part is usable, but overall, structurally, it's pretty good. It's pretty nice. I might be able to use it. If not, I'm working on just getting better at this so that I can reprint a better one. This is the left front eye casing. It's got the little hole there for the servo armature for the lower eye flap. You can see the roundness of it. The aluminum eye tube will go in there. Underneath is some access. These indented parts is where the aluminum detail plates will go, the darker colored plates that kind of match the eye flaps. But this piece is a fail. If you look real close, it's got lots of layers, just not stacked very well. Back here you can see it kind of wavering a little bit. This piece here looks like there's a big bite out of that little ridge there. The back lower part is real dodgy looking. So this was a success and a failure because my printer was having some other structural issues at the time. So I was surprised this even worked, but you can also see underneath the bridging was pretty terrible, pretty gross looking. I used the organic kind of tree supports on this one, and I fixed the structural issue with my printer. It had to do with the fan casing needing to be replaced with something sturdier. I had a mod fan casing on it that wasn't working out. So I replaced that, and I reset this with more standard type supports, and I think that I might get a usable part. So this was a lot of learning, and it's just neat to be holding something that's, to me, very obviously part of number 5. It's like I've been drawing this since I was a kid, and it's just way cool to even be able to print that, and I think the next one is going to be super great. And this is that part, the redo of it in progress. The fan casing there is a blue ABS mod that's supposed to help keep the hot end a little bit cooler, and the fan casing mod I had on there before had been made out of PLA, and it warped like crazy, and it was dragging all over the last print. So this one's a lot happier, and I'm also using a much more geometric set of supports, and this one looks like it's gonna stack up pretty nicely compared to the other one, but I won't know till tomorrow, late morning sometime. And this is a good chance to check out my homemade enclosure. I made this out of big pieces of cardboard that I had gotten from frame shops, wherever I'd ordered picture frames and mats, and I had all this big huge cardboard, and I used some foil for the inside to reflect the heat. I used a lot of packing tape. I used clear sheet protectors for the window. I have some weather stripping down there at the bottom. It's very makeshift. I put some $7 USB powered LEDs in there just for lighting. I think that does okay to let me see what's going on. And I think overall it's not too bad. So far so good. I've got the top detail of Johnny Five's head. I've got a sample track link, some pads, a couple of attempts at head casings. I have some black ABS ready to go to make some of these pads when I feel like I can take a break from this light gray casing color. And yeah, 3D printing is a steep learning curve. There's a lot of information out there, and there's definitely a lot of different ways to go about things.